trying to think of anything else that you guys needed to know right away. Punches come in different sizes. This is a 1/8 punch. This is the size that I usually use for rivets. And let's see if I can get a better view. The leather usually comes out of this hole here, and I wanted to show you. It's just a hole. It's sharpened to an edge there, and this is why you need to use the pounding board, because if you hit this right here, it'll instantly dull that razor edge. So this is what I use for rivets. The 1/4 inch or the 09 craft tool. You can see the hole. I already have some suede in there, so you can see the red in there. That's what I usually use for grommets. And then, they come in different sizes. This is 3/16 of an inch. And sometimes if I need to put any type of decorations that are too big for my rivets but too small for my grommets, I'll use the 3/16 punch. And they come in just, they grade up, but those are the most popular ones that I use. So you learned how to use a stitch groover, and you learned how to use an edger. I noticed something on Zena. She said she had an awl, and she used the awl to go through the leather. I actually don't do that normally. And I did mention that this is called a stitch groove because people who want to hand dye, you need to give yourself a little bit of an edge because you're going to have to punch through these. And just like with the paper, you can punch through and make a hole. I don't know if can you see that I did that. So you can do that. People who want to do hand stitching will sit there and do this for every single one of them. And again, you're going to use it on the punching board, so you're not dulling your tool. I'm pretty good at getting it even. I apologize for my phone. Anyway, I'm pretty good at getting it even. Another tool that you can use with this is, let me see if I can find it. It's in my miscellaneous. I have so many tools that, here we go. Okay, here's another thing that people will use to get an even stitch if you're hand stitching. It almost looks like a sewing rotary. It's basically what it is. And they have different sizes. And what you would do is you would start from, in that stitch line, and you would press down. It's hard to control, but you would press down in the stitch line, and it gives you a guide for where your holes would be. I don't know if you can see that, but it gives you a guide. So it's easier and faster to get even punches by using that groove guide. See, I can do it pretty fast. Now, the needles that I use are usually much bigger than that. I should not be doing that the way that I just did. Did you see that? I almost injured myself. But, you can go through and make holes that way. The other thing that I normally do, makes it easier for me, is I use what's called a punching fork. And it basically looks like a fork. It's like a chisel. And instead of doing the awl, and they have different sizes. They have, I think this is the smallest size. And then, do I have a wider one? That's a wider one. They usually come in 4s. You can also get them in singles. So if you didn't want to use an awl, you could use the singles instead. And what you do is you basically put it onto the leather and you pound through. And it creates a wider hole, an easier hole for your, I think you can actually see through that hole, so that you can get your thread and your needle through that. I use the 4s a lot, except for around curves like over here, because it's faster for me. and it's easier for me to line things up. So I just go, just keep going, and I'll usually put my last tong of the fork through the last hole that I punched, just to get an even, an even spacing. It's kind of where I left off. And then sometimes you can even go around curves like this without having to use the single. They also make them in even larger. So this is the same, it's the same distance, it's just more tongs in the fork, if that makes sense to you. So that's how you would do hand sewing. I was talking to Zena about leather thread. You can get it like faux leather thread that's waxed, or you can get sinew, which is thicker. This is very, very, very thick, as you can see. But this is what I normally sew with, hand sew with on these leathers, or even with the upholstery leathers. I don't know what a 69 is, a 69 thread is, but I noticed on Zena's bag, she asked me to take a look at it, and I think that she would get a better look from using a thicker thread like this, as opposed to almost like a regular sewing thread. It'll hold better, and I think it gives it a more substance, as opposed to, you probably wouldn't see the holes with this thread. You wouldn't see the holes that she made. It would cover it up. You would just see the stitching. And you can buy special needles and things like that. I have a collection of different kinds of needles, but you want to make, there's razor blades in there too, so be careful. But they have wider holes. I'm sorry, everything is so blurry. I'm trying to focus, but it's not working so well. But there's other holes there. I mean, it's a larger hole than a regular sewing needle. And they're pretty heavy duty. I mean, you can't really bend them. I've broken them before. I will have to say that here's a tip or a trick of the trade. If you're going to start doing hand sewing, a lot of times, because the thread is waxed, your hand will start to slip. And an invaluable tool that I found is these little rubber things from Staples, these little grippies, and they really help me to grab on and pull through. So that's a little helpful tidbit there. I think the next thing that you guys wanted to learn was stamping and carving. So I'm going to pause this for a minute or so and get set up for that, and I'll be right back.